Hello everybody, it's Mike. I am just sharing with you today our next century water submetering system. Wanted to go through the components. This right here is the gateway box. It's got different lights depending on what kind of service is connected. One is for power, the one that's yellow right now, and I do admit the colors don't come through very well in the video. This is the cellular signal. It's connected to cellular to this antenna, but the cellular hasn't been activated yet, so it doesn't work. This is the transceiver. One of these goes with each home, and it connects with a wire to the water meter. And here is a power supply. It comes out into this power adapter. And I did the best I could to put some kind of a wire tie to hold these together because this is going to be mounted in a box, usually in a location that's not easy to get to. It's either going to be under a home or it's going to be mounted up in a pole or in a tree. And then we have here a box. This is a NEMA enclosure that everything goes in. We can put a lock on it and we can attach it to a tree or somewhere outside. So the gateway itself is not waterproof by itself. It is for indoor use only. If we put it in a NEMA enclosure, then we can put it outside. For testing purposes, this can be set up inside the kitchen of one of our homes or in an office. We can just plug it in with the extension cord wherever we want. But when it comes time to actually mount this, what we need to do is we need to cut this cord and attach this to be hardwired into a power line somehow. So right now I don't have the box set up that way, but what we would have to do is figure out which end is going to be the bottom of this box, drill a hole in it, and install a conduit fitting and have a conduit with an electrical cord coming into the box. That electrical cord then would be terminated into this power cord using wire nuts. Whoever's installing this probably knows this already, but you can't just cut the black cord and plug it in because this white cord is 120 volts coming in. This black cord is putting out 15 volts. We need this transformer to reduce the voltage. In this case, I bought a NEMA enclosure that's slightly small, so what I would recommend doing is first put in the power supply and then let's get all these extra cords in there. Then what you could do is take the gateway box, and I have it specifically set up so the gateway box is over top of the power supply. That keeps it at this angle. Otherwise, if it's flat, these cords would push right up against the wall, and over time, just that constant pressure may cause the cords to become defective. So we would just stuff all of these wires in here. And then the cellular antenna, normally we would drill a hole through the top of the box and attach this to the top. But the issue is this particular antenna has a peel back adhesive, and I don't think that's going to hold up to the rain and snow and weather over 10 or 15 years. What we really need to have is a drill through mount where the antenna screws through and then the cord comes out the bottom. So what we're going to do for our experiment is we're just going to stuff all these wires in here, then we're going to put this cellular antenna in, and it just barely fits, but if you just bend it just slightly across the diagonal, you'll notice it fits in fine. And then we would just mount all of this, close the door, latch it, and then we could put a padlock if necessary, unless it's going to be so far up in a tree or on a pole that it doesn't matter. I can't latch it right now because I have the cords that are sticking out. I have not drilled the hole yet. Then once this is all done, on the back of this box, there are 4 mounting holes. We can use these clips that could be attached with screws, and then it could be screwed into a pole, or we have this optional set of brackets that I purchased separately. We could attach one bracket to the top and one bracket to the bottom, again with the screws, and we have these clamps so that this could be mounted to a pole, like a telephone pole or even a tree or a flagpole or anything else of that nature. So that's the whole thing. What I'd like to do for right now is go ahead and set this up at unit 730 Evans. And then what I'd like either Don or Dan to do is take one of these devices and go to the 4 or 5 units that we've identified, open up the box, and just press the button and see if it makes a connection to the receiver. In this case, it is being received. We see the green light. That means it's a success. If it's not receiving a signal, then just let me know. We may have to go ahead and purchase a booster. Here we have a water meter. It's a brass meter. It has to be heated with heat tape and it has to be insulated. In this case, we purchased these water meter blankets. They just simply wrap around the meter and they seal with Velcro. But before you put that on, you would make sure that the heat tape that runs along the whole line would go in place. At the time of installation, it's very important to read the meter. In this case, the meter is reading 13 gallons. We're going to set that as our initial reading. The meter itself does not have a serial number. It's just a dumb meter, but attached to it is this cord. It's roughly 3 to 4 feet. If we need more cord, we can add up to 1,000 feet, which is more than enough for what we need to do. But the cord would simply go through this gland. Before we continue, I'd just like to point out how the gland works so it's properly put together. These are all the parts for the gland. The first is the main barrel. We would drill a 1/2 inch hole for this particular size into our box. And then there's this rubber gasket. This gasket would go onto the gland, onto the barrel. And then all of this gets pushed through the box. So you can see then the threads show through on the inside. We then take the nut and the nut screws on. We just tighten that. We don't have to get it too tight. It is a plastic. And then you'll notice there are these ridges. What happens is when this is tightened, it pushes these together and it clamps onto the wire. So here we have the end of the wire that comes out of the transceiver. Before you wire everything, make sure that this gets pushed on. Then you would route it through into the inside of the box and you start screwing this. And right now you'll notice it's very loose. But once you tighten this, the rubber seal is being compressed and it doesn't pull through anymore. This seals out all the water. It's very important to make sure to do that. Once that's done, the transceiver can be put in. And then on the inside, you would then take it and attach it to, you see there's 3 terminals here. You need a very small screwdriver, but here on the label, it says there is an out, an in, and a green ground. The out is black, so we take the black and attach it to the out. We take the red and attach it to the in, and then we simply close this and we put it inside the weatherproof box. And when doing that, just make sure the wiring routes in such a way that it doesn't cause too many bends and cause damage over time. Then we seal the box and we install this under a home somewhere. Although the meter itself is a dumb meter, the transceiver is a smart transceiver. So this is the device that sends the signal and it has a specific serial number we've already recorded, and each one is assigned to a unit number. It's very important that this transceiver goes to the unit that it's assigned to, otherwise we'll be getting water bills mixed up. The other thing to note is that some of these boxes come with a separate gasket, and there's this channel along the lid. The gasket has to be put into this. You just push it down all around, make sure it's in there. We don't want any gaps, because if there are any gaps, then water could leak. Remember, this thing will be outside for possibly 10 or 15 years. So we don't want to have to revisit this on a regular basis, crawl under 50 homes because of damaged transceivers. So we just push it all the way through, and you'll notice it's a little bit long. So we just have to take a knife or something, or a pair of scissors, and just cut that right there. Once it's done, we could then just put the lid on, put the screws in, tighten it but not too tight, and then we have these little ears. We could just mount this under the home somewhere, perhaps to the joist underneath the floor or to the skirting itself.